When you join the game, you'll be met with this screen, which might seem a little scary at first, but it's pretty easy to navigate. So basically, we have a total of 8 tracks here which you can edit, including this drum track here, which this track is pretty special in its own way. We'll talk about that later. All of these other tracks here, not including this, tracks 1 to 7, are known as instrument tracks. And what these are is essentially where you can put stuff like melodies. If you click on one of these tracks, let's say track 1, click on it, you'll be met with this grid. And basically what this grid is it's where you put your music, essentially. So let's say I wanted to place a note right here. The very first thing that plays is the C note. By left clicking, you can place notes on the grid, just like this. I'm making a terrible beat right now, but this is just for demonstration. Once you've placed down some notes, the way you're able to hear them is if you click play. Here, if you click this button, it should play the sequence. And you can press it again to stop the sequence at any time. So if I played it, and then I want to stop it, it's not going to continue playing on with these notes, because I stopped it before it could. You can also use spacebar, and it will do the same thing. So I'm pressing spacebar. Sorry, I'm trying hard. So now that you've made this kind of like sequence in one of these tracks, let's talk about these buttons up here. We've talked about this one. This plays the sequence, obviously. This one, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you click yes, all of these notes should disappear. And when I click play, nothing should play because I've cleared the grid, essentially. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you've created like a beat that's absolutely garbage like this and you want to redo everything. Just click yes and it should clear everything. Oh, by the way, I just did something I didn't talk about. So if you hold down left click on a PC, you can actually drag place notes like this, and this allows you to place notes, a lot of notes, very quickly. Okay, let's clear that again. Now let's talk about the instrument tab. So when you open it, you'll be met with this huge screen. If you scroll down a bit, you can see that this button is a little different. It's called Short Synth Electric. And that is actually what this track is set to by default, Short Synth Electric. And basically, it sounds like this. So as of right now, everything I've played so far kind of sounds the same. It just sounds like that. But you can change it with this instrument tab. So if I change it to example Bounce Vox, you can see that this is no longer highlighted, and now this is. And if I played it, it sounds a little bit different. And there are quite a lot of instruments from which you can choose here. The newer ones are more so at the bottom. They're not in any chronological order other than level of newness. This is a new one. Whichever instrument you use changes the sound of the entire track. So basically, if I had all of these notes here, all of these notes are going to change if I change the instrument here. Yes, you can also drag delete things. It's a bit of a tedious process, but if you get it right, it's actually pretty useful. There we go. You can also place multiple notes on the same vertical thing. So if I had a C here, and I had a C at the bottom, they will both play at the same time. Now, let's talk about set volume. This is also pretty self-explanatory. So the volume is defaultly set to 1. And as you can see, if you look at this volume analyzer thingy here, we're kind of going into the yellow. If I were to change this volume from 1 to, let's say, 2, it should be going a little higher on the volume analyzer. This volume thing accepts decimals. So if I change this to say 0.3, it should be very quiet now. Just like my voice, it's very quiet. Let's set it to 0.7 for now, since it seems to be a good balance for the audio analyzer. Now let's talk about effects. Here is where you can mess with the track a little bit other than this instrument, which already changes the sounds of the notes. But with effects, you can change them even further. This next one here, track view, you're probably going to want this a little bit if you're going to make a long song. Because usually what some people do is they just look at this like horizontal scroll bar here and they just go like that throughout the entire song. And that's not a wrong way to do it. Like it's not bad per se, but you just have to go like this a lot. But with this track view thing, you can actually change these numbers and view the track differently. So if I set this to 3, now as you can see, I can see a little more of the track. I can see the pixels. Not like it's a big deal. Like it's not game breaking or anything. We can also change this number here too. See, y-axis. And now we get a much bigger view of the grid. And we don't have to do this a lot. I feel like this is just a handy thing to have. In case you didn't know how to exit this grid area, there's this back button here. If you press it, it takes you back to the home screen. This changes to whatever instrument you've set for this. So if I set this to cut sine, changes to that. If I look back, it now shows you what instrument the track currently is set to. It also helps with organization a little bit, as some people might be like, they want to edit an instrument, but they don't know which track the instrument is in. Well, now the tracks show what instrument it's currently set to, which helps a lot. So when I play the song, you can hear both the piano and the choir. But if we look over here, we have this solo option. And if I turn solo on for, let's say, choir, now you can only hear the choir because this is the only track that's supposed to be playing right now. If I turn solo off for that, then everything's back. If I turn solo on for the piano, you should only be able to hear the piano. This is good for listening to specific tracks separately so that you can catch any like song errors or something. Like if you hear like a melody in a song that's kind of off, you can kind of use the solo thing to track down where you find that off sounding melody and fix it. That's one example of how this solo thing may be efficient. Now let's talk about the drum track. The drum track, if we open this, it's kind of similar to the instrument tracks, except what you see here is that there's no C, there's no highlights other than these eighth bars. And these are a little different because these are actually drum sounds. So if I place down some notes here, there are a bunch of drum notes. And again, the vertical playing at the same time rule also applies to this. So this is my current song. It sounds pretty cool. Now, when you're looking at this drum track here, you might see this button called sidechain, and this is not present on any of the other tracks here. Like if I go to track 5, it's replaced with instrument. Now, what the sidechain button is essentially adds a bit of a kick to your song. So if I set this to say 3 for the demonstration, if I played it, now you can hear that the kick is a little bit more prominent. And if I set this to say 5, I like it. It's good. You can also apply the same effects to the drum track as you did to any of the other tracks as well. Okay, so now that you have a cool soundtrack and you suddenly have to leave because you have to go do something in real life, thankfully you have this feature here, which is the save and load feature, as well as this autosave. This button saves your work so you can come back to it later. And this button loads the previously saved work, which basically means if you save the song now, this will basically have it saved for you, these buttons here. And what load will do when you enter the game again, if you press load, it will take the last saved thing and put it into these tracks for you to begin using again. So let me just save it right now to demonstrate. So it says please wait a bit, and what it's doing is it's taking all of the data of the song you currently have and storing it into data store. If I were to get rid of some of these notes here, pay attention to this grid here of track 1. if I were to remove some of these notes, it sounds a lot more empty. But I'm not going to save this version of the track. Don't autosave, please. Load it. And the notes here are back, because I have not saved the version of the song where I deleted these notes. Okay, and one more thing. If you're really happy with your song and you want other people to hear it, you can do one of the following things. You can press F12 on your keyboard, which starts the Roblox recorder. You can play your song, like so. And then once you're done, you can just press F12 again. Video recorded, open your folder. Studio doesn't open my folder, thankfully. Or you can use this button here called Publish to Library. And when you click it, it will ask you if you want to publish your song to the BeatMerger musical library. Now, basically, when you publish your song, you're giving revocable consent to other users to be able to load and hear your track. What I mean by revocable is if you publish your song and decide that you actually don't want that song on the library, you can simply delete it. And that will revoke your consent, essentially. Also, keep in mind that I do look at songs occasionally on the library. If I see something that I'm not really comfortable with, I do have the right to remove it. So make sure what you publish is good, okay? You'll hear a little bit of noise while it's publishing. That's because it's playing the song, and it's saving the sounds from the song. Okay, ID 74037. 74037. It's always a good idea to save your IDs so that in case you forget them, you still have access to your song. Now, click on this musical library button, and here it will start loading a whole bunch of songs from other people. Now, if you want to search for a specific song, you can search it by song ID. So I'm going to search for my own song, 74037. Actually, you can see I pop up. Okay, and I think I've explained basically everything I think I need to explain. If I've missed anything, you can refer to this guide button here. I know it's kind of long, but I update it pretty frequently. And if your question is still not answered, you can just post a comment.